Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by two of my good pals from the GameSpot days, being Aaron Thomas and Tom McShay, to discuss our experience with the Zelda Escape Room Defenders of the Triforce. Now before we hop in, I should mention real quick that we recorded this call on Google Hangouts as opposed to our usual method, so please forgive the audio quality as it's going to drop off a cliff right about now. Alright guys, so we just went to this last night. We tried out we went to the media event for the Zelda Escape Room Defenders of the Triforce. And basically, it was the first time anyone had played this game for real. Except for the fact that by anyone, I mean a room full of like 100 plus people. This thing was massive. So I thought we'd give our quick impressions of the event. You talk about what worked, maybe what didn't. But I think I should probably explain what an escape room is real quick in case you haven't heard of the concept. So an escape room typically is where you're locked in a room, like a small room with a group of anywhere from like 5 to 10 people, maybe a little bit more. And your goal is you usually have an hour to escape the room by solving a variety of puzzles scattered about.
This is also known as Date Night with Andre.
Spoilers. So the idea is you solve puzzles in the room, and those puzzles eventually give you the code or something to escape the room. The difference, though, in Zelda's case is, as I mentioned, you're in a massive room, and so much of it is localized around your table. So you get a handful of stuff to mess with throughout the game, and you're trying to solve these puzzles at the table, and then at various points you get up and you walk to these different locations, like Zora's Domain or the Goron City, for instance, and then they give you more puzzles which you take back to your table. So that's a main distinction, I would say, and of course it's all Zelda themed. So I want to get your guys' take before I give my impressions of this event. First off, Aaron, what's your experience with escape rooms, if any, and what did you think of this compared to the others, if you had any experiences?
So I've wanted to do escape rooms before, but I had never done one. So this was my first one. So I didn't really know what to expect. I expected some puzzles, and I got puzzles. So definitely delivered on that.
That's good.
I guess it was unique in the sense that instead of just you and your friends being locked in the room, it was a bunch of people. I thought that definitely added a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm. It did.
It did make it a little chaotic at times. I'd say my favorite part about it was that everyone at our table ended up contributing something. Like when it first started and we got stuff, and I looked down and was like, oh god, this is confusing. I'm just going to crawl under the table. And then, you guys kind of grabbed some stuff, and then I grabbed a card with some clues, and Tom was sitting next to me. And I said, hey, let's knock this one out. It seemed pretty easy. And, so he and I did that, and you guys worked on another one. And it seemed to kind of have a natural flow of people stepping up and saying, hey, what about this? What about that? Or someone might have an idea about how a clue could be used, and then someone else looks in and says, oh, okay, you're on the right path, but let's try it over here, and that worked. I thought that was pretty cool and a good way to keep people involved, because I thought that we were at a round table, and so sometimes if you're across the table from me, you're looking at something and it's upside down for me, I can't contribute a whole lot upside down.
Right.
And so there's usually enough going on that you can still contribute.
Okay. How about you, Tom? I remember you telling me you'd done one escape room before. Is that right?
What? No, I'm a veteran of this. This is like my fourth or fifth.
Oh man! All right, so you're
now.
I've only done one
better
before.
Then.
Yeah, so now I'm really
afterwards.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm not good. You know that.
Well, clearly because Ganon defeated us.
So what I was spoilers. We didn't even tell them we lost yet.
Hey, you're assuming Ganon winning means we lost, right? Maybe that's a win somehow. It's a matter of perspective, right?
It is. Darkness can be good. No, actually no.
Without darkness, there's no light.
Good point.
This is gonna sound really condescending, but I was picturing escaping a room. So my expectations were it was gonna be my expectations were it was the four of us, but or five of us, but it was actually six of us, which was great. So I thought, because I didn't know Gadge was going to be there, another GameSpot alum. But
that's right.
I pictured
current member actually.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So I pictured the six of us in the fire temple, and walking from room to room and trying to escape the fire temple. Like that's like I pictured it like a real Zelda experience, like Zelda combined with an escape room.
Right.
What we had was sitting at a table and doing puzzles, which is a little different than the escape room that I'm used to, because usually it's like you're literally locked in a room.
Right.
So that's an expectations thing, because what they had there was I mean, it was ultimately similar to the experience. It was just like with a bunch of other people and without like, because usually in an escape room you're like literally going through drawers and shelves and furniture in a room to like find your way, which makes sense in Zelda because you'd be like going through a temple and trying to find like which rock you push, or like just like the various things you do in Zelda temple. So that's what I was picturing. So it's a little different. It was more just like straight puzzle stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But it's cool because it was very thematically consistent. We wore hats, and we switched our hat to become younger Link at one point, and there was an ocarina, and it had a lot of Zelda thematic stuff without like requiring previous Zelda knowledge, even though some of that helps, as we can get into maybe. But so,
yeah, I guess that's I don't know how we may want to try to avoid specific spoilers here. So
we can touch on it though.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, we can touch on them in vague terms. So yeah, I think we may agree on this a bit, Tom. Like I thought it was cool. At the same time, I don't think it quite lived up to my expectations. Like when you hear Zelda Escape Room, it's like that seems perfect. Like combining Zelda with an escape room, that seems like a brilliant idea. What we got though, like it felt like we were at our table most of the time. I mean, for the bulk of the time, I would say 85% of the time we're at our table, which is mostly completely unthemed. The only truly themed parts, really, besides the puzzles, I guess, which are mostly paper-based, are when you're going up to go to these different regions to get the next clue. Like you go to Zora's Domain, or you go to the Temple of Time, or whatever. And that I like that part, but it did feel like we were just at our table solving like Happy Meal puzzles, like puzzles you would find on the side of a Happy Meal box, or like a worksheet from school or something. So I think that's where the expectations didn't quite live up, because Zelda is so much about exploration, like escape rooms are too. Like in an escape room, you're exploring the room, trying to find what you need to solve. Here, the puzzles are straight up given to you, and you just need to figure out how to work your way through them.
It's funny because in the introduction, like when the guy was giving explanations, the guy's like, "You're gonna explore the room," and then when we actually did it, we didn't explore the room at all. Like, don't worry about locked doors, and it's like I thought we were really gonna like go to town, but we didn't really go to town. We went to Zora's Domain a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, and even then, because those so each of the regions you visit, and I'd say region loosely, is basically like a little kiosk. It's like a little room that's curtained off, like a very small room. But because everyone, so this is actually one of the problems, is that, especially at the beginning, it became less of an issue later on as teams were more spread out. But like everyone's solving the early puzzles basically at the same time. So there was a line to get into Zora's Domain, which meant if you took a little longer to solve a puzzle, you're already at a slight disadvantage trying to get in. So that means when you're entering
that's like the best part of Zelda is queuing up to get places, isn't it?
Right, exactly. It's like
why I play the franchise.
Yeah. So you kind of feel rushed in some respects because you're only in these little rooms for like maybe 20 seconds, and even then, there's barely any room to move around in. There were times when I didn't even go inside them; I couldn't. There was no room to fit in. So
we should mention that one of the reasons why it felt crowded in those rooms was you were required to move as a group. So if your group represented Link, so you couldn't send one person out. All 6 of you had to go to Zora's Domain together, and you were a single entity in Link. Then otherwise, it'd send you back to your table.
It was a little bit like playing Zelda Four Swords Adventures as a single-player game where you all move as a group.
Combined with Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, I kept carrying around this bucket all night.
That's actually true. There was a bucket. So yeah, but on the other hand, like I feel like I've been pretty negative so far. But I mean, I ultimately did enjoy it, just not quite as much as I may have liked. I liked solving the puzzles. They did a good job making them thematically appropriate. Like the puzzles did kind of tie into Zelda, even though they were mostly again worksheet based. My favorite puzzles were by far the ones that involve physical objects. Like we got, I don't want to spoil how they're used, but we got a couple of treasure chests, and they were also incorporated into puzzles in other ways. We ended up getting some jars, like the jars from Zelda you would break, for instance. And then we also got like bottles of water, or jars of water, I guess. So those are my favorite puzzles. Those are the ones I'm used to from escape rooms. That was the best. Yeah, the ones that I was less keen on were the complete worksheet based ones, where I guess there were like 3 main steps, right? And each one of those were worksheet based. And one of those puzzles, by the way, like the one where you just had to fill in the numbers, that really felt like a Happy Meal puzzle. I'm like, what is this? And of course, I still screwed it up, which is amazing.
Yes, but yeah, that was not a puzzle.
Yeah. My biggest complaint with those, and the worksheets type stuff was, you would go, you would take your sheet and you'd get a sticker, and then you'd pick up some items, and at one point it was not even clear to us what clue we needed to be working on. We had clue 2.5, and we also had 3, and did we need to solve one before the other? Did we need to do something on 3 before we could solve 2.5? And we spent a lot of time spinning our wheels, not knowing there's a lot of crap on the table.
Yeah, it's tough because there's a lot of paper and there's a lot of commotion and there's a lot of chaos, so you kind of feel rushed. So it's tough to like read everything thoroughly. You kind of are like, I can just get the gist of it, but like you kind of need to read stuff because it's puzzle based. But it just was not like an environment for that.
Well, because only one person can really read these things at a time. We had 6 of us, and as Aaron mentioned, half the group's on the other side of the table, so they can't even read the same thing you're trying to. But
there's also just like people running here and there and screaming, and it's like you feel more rushed than you probably are, which makes it even tougher, I guess.
You say that, but then we were still probably 20 minutes from finishing when it ended. So it's like,
no, we were 3 hours because they give the answers at the end, and some of the answers I was like, we never would have gotten that one, just flat out.
Well, I was trying to show off for the people listening that
we would never have gotten some of the later ones because they were really hard.
Well, I mean, were we basically on the penultimate puzzle? Like, we were close to the end, I thought.
We only had a couple more to do, but the last ones were really hard.
Yeah, no, they were pretty ridiculous.
I will not get into what they were, but boy, were they hard.
We were close in the sense that you walked across the United States, and all you had to do was get across the Grand Canyon, and you were done.
Right.
But you had to get across the Grand Canyon. Like, that's how close we were.
There was a puzzle at the end. I'm going to reference a Zelda game. What was the first DS one? Was that Phantom Hourglass?
Yeah.
There was that one where you had to stamp a passport, and you had like a passport on like the top screen, and the bottom screen was like a piece of paper. And everybody got stuck on that because you didn't realize you had to close the DS physically.
Right.
There was like puzzles like that where there was like really thinking outside the box, which is like really awesome in a video game, but tougher to do like in an hour with time constraints and with people running around.
It is.
So I think I would have appreciated them more if it was in a different context.
I guess,
the ones that are really outside the box.
Yeah, I would agree with. I think I would agree with that. But I think they could have done a better job maybe at the beginning, just setting up expectations a little bit better for just a general flow and the general idea of the puzzles. Like, to encourage you to think outside the box, because some of those really are outside the box. Some of them, I mean, I felt like one of the times specifically, I'm like, are we damaging property here? Like, should we be doing this?
Yes.
So
yeah, it's funny when he was also going over all the answers, which was fun. He was like, "This first one should have taken you 3 minutes," and I'm like, "Oh crap, that didn't take us 3 minutes. That's for sure."
Yeah,
we were probably behind from the get-go.
I guess it gets back to a point that Aaron brought up. I felt like there was just a lot of crap to keep track of. Like they at the very start, they give you like a binder full of 6 puzzles, and I didn't realize at first that those would be things we need to solve immediately. I thought that was stuff we'd be using throughout the game. But I think everything there we had to solve, we all figured it out eventually, but that was something we had to solve in order to get to the next stage. And I think, again, just better expectations would have helped. But also, maybe, like, had they taken some of the stuff you didn't need anymore throughout the game, like if you give the step 1 puzzles to Zero's domain, for instance.
Listen!
Yes. There actually were Navi helpers there, by the way. They actually went around the room if you needed help, and they really were that big of a help. They were
about as helpful as the real Navi.
Yeah, actually, that's true. It was very thematically appropriate. But yeah, I just felt like we had so much stuff, and there were times when we had, the table's not that big, so we were putting stuff on the ground to make room for other stuff on the table. We would forget about the stuff on the ground, which completely screwed us at a couple of points.
So what was your favorite thing about the night? I mean, you mentioned that you like the tangible
Yeah.
puzzles, those things. What did this offer that like the traditional escape room doesn't, that was good?
I mean, I liked I liked the few physical based puzzles, which I wish there had been more of. I did like the incorporation of people. That's something you don't get too often in escape rooms. The one I've done before didn't have any people besides our group at all. Because everyone running the game was outside the room. So in this case, they actually did have the characters, but they had some amazing actors. Actually,
the one short girl. Oh my god, she was amazing.
She was great.
Yep.
She was my favorite, actually. She did a great job. Really captured the essence, I felt like, of the spirit of that character, or the character she was representing.
Definitely.
So that was cool. I like that. I wish there was more of that. I wish they had been able to have less worksheet-based puzzles and more of those type of puzzles. I don't know how with the group, because the group was massive. Like, again, I think there were well over 100 people in that room.
Well, there was about 25 groups, and there was 5 or 6 people a group, so there was a lot of people.
600, I think that is.
There were 650 people, so that's just quick math.
Tom, what was your favorite thing?
I was thinking, because it's like, how much fun did you have? And I had a lot of fun, but it was like, a lot of it is just, I like the people I was with.
Yeah, that helped. I mean, that is a key thing, I think.
I talk about this with games a lot, because every time you play a game co-op, you're like, well, that was great, but like, that's because you like the person you're with.
Right.
So I mean, my favorite thing was just working together, and I was glad that like your wife and my wife were both able to contribute and have a lot of fun, even though they don't know Zelda as well. So it was just satisfying seeing them figure stuff out and taking the lead sometimes, and that was probably my favorite part, doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the physical puzzles, like, I liked the idea, but it was tough because we were like doing all this paper stuff, and then they gave us the physical tools, and it was tough to like shift your focus to be like, am I supposed to do something with this?
Yeah.
So I didn't like those quite as much as I feel like I should have.
I feel the same way. So I guess, Tom, since you're the most experienced of us, how did you feel it stacked up to the other escape rooms you've done?
I mean, it felt like a licensed video game where, like, it's like the Transformers War on Megatron game, where you like it because you like Transformers.
Right.
It is, because it's like, as an actual puzzle room, it was kind of meh, but it was Zelda, and I love Zelda, and I was there with people I liked, so that was really fun.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess it's also more expensive, I think, than other rooms. So it'd be tough to recommend for anyone unless they're a diehard Zelda fan. I
was going to ask you that. So the basic price for the game, the basic ticket is $40. They have a few upgraded options if you want like some goodies, I think. So $40 is a base cost. Do you think that experience was worth $40? We should mention we got to go for free because it was media night, but would you have paid $40?
Yeah, we did. No, we didn't. No, because we didn't get to even get like a souvenir, which was surprising. I thought we'd get to keep the hats. We didn't get to keep the hats. Which was a little surprising.
Some people
because the other ones I've done were closer to, yeah, you could steal them. Yeah. The other rooms I did were like $20, I think. So they were a little cheaper. So this one didn't really quite stack up, but you're kind of paying for like it's Zelda, which is pretty cool.
What do you think, Aaron? This is your first escape room. Did it justify a $40 price?
I don't think it would justify the $40 price, but I did have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you were really hardcore, it's a once in a lifetime sort of thing.
That's true.
So I guess in that sense, yes, it would justify the price if you're a huge Zelda fan and you live nearby one. I would say give it a shot. It was weird though because they had to, it's geared towards these hardcore Zelda people, but you don't have to be a Zelda expert to enjoy it. It helps to know the world. You don't want to go in and be like, "What's a link?" But if you've played a few of the games, you're gonna be at home. So I would say hardcore. Yeah, if you're just kind of curious and you're like, "This is my first escape room," I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. If you're Zelda curious, you don't recommend it.
No, a Zelda curious virgin, no.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I think it was fun as like a once in a lifetime thing. Like this, is this really going to happen again? Maybe it will. Who knows? Maybe it'll be an ongoing thing now. But it was fun as a novelty. Would I do it again? Probably not. And if you're in it just for the escape room aspect, there are better escape rooms you can go to. I feel like for even cheaper than that. So, but yeah, as a Zelda type thing.
Would you do it again? I was telling Bridget actually before we went that some dudes I hear do escape rooms and then go back with a date and show how smart they are. So if I was still single, I'd be taking a lovely lady there and showing her how you could just be flying through. Like, I bet it's this. She'll be so impressed with you the whole time.
There's one more point I want to bring on real quick, is just the overall presentation. It had a very like campy feel to it. Like, it felt like this didn't really feel like an official thing, even though it is. It felt like an escape room made by fans for fans, right? Like, because they had this amazing almost PowerPoint-esque like presentation before and after. So where the opening like that sets up the game is using artwork from Ocarina of Time era, and they're like flying around like a flash-based animation.
Well, it was still artwork that they moved the camera with.
Right.
So yeah.
I do want to mention the end without a spoiler, because I thought it lost its steam. So some people finished with probably like 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
And we sat there.
We should mention 4 of the 25 tables finished.
Yeah. So we're not that dumb. I mean, we're
dumb.
Average dumb. And, so they're sitting there all happy, and we're looking at them like jerks. They probably cheated, even though there's really no way to cheat. And then it ends, and then they walk you through the puzzles. And to me, that killed the momentum. It was like 80% of the people got 80% through the game, and they're starting at the first puzzle like, yeah, we know. We know how this one was solved. And then you go through all these puzzles, and then they do the ending. And to me, it should have been the ending. And then, hey, you want to stick around to see how the puzzles were solved? You can. It really kind of, to me, took you out of the world, and then they tried to put you back in. And I think the point you wanted to make, you had suspended your disbelief for a while.
Yeah.
And then you're back in reality, and then they want you to suspend disbelief again, and it didn't really work for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. They definitely could structure that a little bit better, especially because after the event, they had switches there with Zelda running on them. We could go play.
Yes.
But all about So I mean, we're like, just come on, wrap it up, man. We want to go see the Switch some more, right? So.
Man, we didn't play the Switch.
No, I know we didn't. We just bailed. There's a lot of Mr. Wong.
Coming out in a month. I'm not gonna play 5-minute demo. I mean, it's so weird. No, yeah, I'm gonna wait for the real game.
Yeah.
I was willing to. I wanted to go play the Switch, and I started to creep back as they started revealing things. I was like, okay, this is almost done.
Yeah, I saw you disappear.
I'm going to be first in line, and there was already like, a dozen people that had that idea.
Right.
And then next thing you know, there's 100 people back there playing the Switch, and I said, I'll go to bed.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess I'll just bring up one final point. We gotta wrap it up here, but I know you guys have to go. But I think I was expecting maybe a little bit better themed in general. Like, because I went to E3 this year where they had just the Breath of the Wild booth, and they had some amazing props there. Like, it almost felt like you were in Hyrule, and I never got that sense here. They tried to, but like we were at our table most of the time under bright fluorescent lights, and there was nothing themed in the room itself. The only themed portions were the other room we went to that had the, I guess it was part of the same room, but like little corner there that had the little regions you visited, which were like little booths.
Which also weren't that well done. Now, because I remember like the E3 with Twilight Princess, you were in Hyrule, and there's like this picture of me where someone was just taking a picture of me there, but like the wolf jumped out, and I looked terrified in the picture because I didn't know there was a friggin' wolf jumping out. But that was like Hyrule,
right?
Whereas this was, it was like a hotel in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not like Hyrule if you've never been to hotels in San Francisco.
There are some parts of San Francisco that are kind of like the underworld.
That's kind of true.
There are a lot of people going, "Hey, listen," when you walk down the street.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts at all before we wrap it up here?
No, it was a good time. I mean, I'm glad you invited us. Thanks for that.
All right, I'm glad you guys can make it. I think because having the group, as Tom mentioned, is a key thing. Being there with people being with people you like definitely enhances the fun. Especially because if you do need a group of 6 for this. If you don't have a group of 6, they'll group you with another group to make it a group of 6. I think that's it, guys. So thanks for joining us. Typically, we have our guests do a plug. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to plug right now.
I do not. Aaron, do you?
Yeah, actually, I'm nominated for Best Supporting Actor for an Oscar this year. So if you just want to tune in and watch me win that, I'm writing my speech ahead of time. I know it's cool to say, oh, I didn't think I was going to win. I didn't write anything down, but I am. So tune in for that. It's going to be great.
I hadn't heard of that, man. You would think you would mention that earlier. That's awesome. Congrats, man.
Humble. I'm a humble guy.
All right, and of course, if you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Game Explained. You can find links to our social media pages in the description below. And of course, stay tuned to Game Explained for probably not much more on the Zelda Escape Room, but lots more on Zelda itself, including the Switch, I'm sure, very soon. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.